Welcome along to Patrick Christys tonight, late edition.
We will not raise tax on working people. No tax rises for income tax.
Well, is that a massive lie? Arguably the biggest of all the lies. Is Rachel Reeves now about to raise income taxes on the front of not one, but two national newspapers? And
there's a slight problem with the sweating because I have a peculiar medical condition, which is that I don't sweat.
Well, it's cold outside and he might not be sweating for a while because he looks like he's about to be made homeless. The rumour is that he's about to be kicked out of Royal Lodge, but possibly to make way for the Queen also.
This can finally bring an end to strike action, which has cost patients £1.5 million cancelled appointments and our NHS £1.7 billion.
Slight problem, they're going back out on strike, this time in November for 5 days. Apparently they're from November the 14th, so just don't get ill then, if you can help it. Just if you're thinking about having a heart attack on November the 14th, just don't, all right? Massive stroke, just don't do it on November the 14th, because the doctors, they're not going to be there. So that's great, isn't it? So let's take your mind off it, though.
Have news. After 21 wonderfully joyful years on Strictly, we have decided that the time is right to step aside and pass over the baton.
Well, that was the shock news that Tess Daly and Claudia Winkleman are quitting Strictly Come Dancing. I'll tell you what, it's rocked the showbiz world. It's rocked the showbiz world, that everyone cares about it. Anyway, I think that they might have tired of some of the scandals. I need to tell you as well that in just a couple of minutes' time, we're taking you to Wales, you lucky people, to Caerphilly, which I'm now being told I need to pronounce it as Caerphilly, where there's a big by-election taking place. It looks as though Reform have beaten Labour in the Welsh heartlands. Would be a huge result and a huge statement, if true, that would have ramifications way beyond Wales, indeed, for the entire country. Stay tuned. Well, joining us this evening is political commentator Chloe Dobbs, GBNews comedian Paul Cox, and, of course, former Labour Party advisor Matthew Larzer. But let's get those headlines with Tatiana.
Patrick, thank you. The top stories. The polls have now closed in a crucial Welsh by-election and counting's now taking place. The votes are being counted in Caerphilly after weeks of campaigning by parties hoping to win the Welsh Parliament constituency from Labour. Labour's led the Welsh Parliament since the devolved administration was first established in 1999. However, recent polling has forecast Plaid Cymru and Reform UK to be the two biggest parties in Wales next year. The winner will represent Caerphilly for about 6 months until all of Wales can vote in next May Senate election. Multiple sources in government are making it clear there's a widespread determination to keep the safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips in post. A government source says it could take months to find a chair for the National Grooming Gangs inquiry. Ms Phillips has come under sustained pressure after 5 members of the survivors panel of the Grooming Gang inquiry quit and said they'd only rejoin if the minister was replaced. Since then, another 5 survivors have written to the Prime Minister to say they'll only continue to work with the inquiry if she keeps her job. Sir Keir Starmer announced a national inquiry into the grooming gangs, children exploitation in England and Wales in June. A former British paratrooper known only as Soldier F has been found not guilty of 2 murders and 5 attempted murders on Bloody Sunday in Northern Ireland. Judge Patrick Lynch ruled the evidence fell well short of what was needed to convict. 13 people were killed when soldiers opened fire on a civil rights march in 1972, one of the darkest days of the Troubles. The government says a migrant who re-entered the UK after being deported to France will be sent back again and again if he keeps returning. Ministers insist the case proves the UK-France one-in, one-out deal is working, saying the man paid smugglers twice to cross the channel and will now be deported twice. It comes as small boat arrivals this year surpassed last year's total, with more than 36,950 migrants crossing the channel so far. Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood says the figures are shameful. She says the government must go further and faster to restore control of Britain's borders. And resident doctors in England will go on strike next month. The strike is going to take place between the 14th and the 19th of November and is part of escalating industrial action over jobs and pay. Resident doctors, previously called junior doctors, make up around half of all doctors in the NHS. The chair of the BMA's Resident Doctors Committees called on the Health Secretary to come forward with a proper offer on jobs and pay. Wes Streeting says the action isn't fair. Those are the latest GB News headlines. For now, it's over to Patrick.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
Welcome along. I'm going to whiz you through Friday's newspaper front pages and then we're going to take you straight to the heart of that big by-election in Wales. The Metro, quit a ball. It's the last dance for Strictly as duo waltz off. There you go, Claudia Winkleman and Tess Daly. Is that right?
Yep.
Yep, there you go. Have now left. So good for them. The Telegraph, stop the show trials for veterans. This is, of course, the story about historic prosecutions for our veterans, which are only allowed thanks to this Labour government. This is what happens if you elect a load of bleeding heart human rights lawyers. Then we go to The Guardian. Rachel Reeves discussing an increase to income tax in November budget. This would be the biggest whopper yet, and that really is saying something. If they increase this, how many times they say no increases to income tax, no increases? This would be the biggest lie of all. The Independent, Streeting blasts the British Medical Association. Doctors' strike is a slap in the face for the NHS. They're going out for 5 days on November the 14th. So if you're thinking about getting ill, then just don't. The Daily Express, we are strictly done dancing. Yeah, there you go. So they're off ski. They've decided to leave an audience of 12 million people and wheelbarrows of cash just because they've had enough. Definitely not because there's anything serious going on behind the scenes there. Definitely not because there's any scandal. Nothing. No, they just walked away. The Daily Mail. After elderly ex-para hounded over bloody Sunday killings more than 50 years ago is cleared of all charges, campaigners now demand an end to the witch hunt. The Times, grooming inquiry may be off until next year as search for leader restarts after candidates quit. Well, you know, obviously for a party that never wants to have it in the first place, I suppose the more you kick the can down the road, but it is important that we do get the right leader for it. The Sun, Tess and Claude's secret pact to quit. Vowed to go a year ago, BBC blindsided after 12 years. Those are your front pages. Lots to go out there, including a Prince Andrew's story. He seems to think that the King wants him out of Royal Lodge so that he can give it to the Queen. So watch this space when it comes to Royal Lodge. Will we be seeing the removals vans early tomorrow morning? But breaking news this evening. Polls have slammed shut in the Caerphilly by-election in Wales. Labour are bracing for defeat now. Recent polls, the latest polls, are now suggesting that Reform UK will be competing closely with Plaid Cymru for that seat in the Senate. And actually, as I understand it, the very latest polls might be that Reform has nicked it. Huge connotations, this, because this is a traditional Welsh Labour heartland. Wales, of course, a long history of being a Labour country. We're going to go now to GB News' political correspondent, Catherine Forster, who is at the start of what I imagine is going to be a very long night. Catherine, are you OK?
Yes, hello, Patrick from Caerphilly. Counting well underway behind me. We expect the result in a few hours from now. But look, it looks like a political earthquake for Labour, a political disaster looming for Labour. This town has been Labour for 100 years, and ever since the Senedd started in 1999, always Labour. They were able to know that every time it would be a Labour candidate returned. That is not going to happen here tonight. Labour, Welsh Labour, pretty much admitting defeat. They put out a statement and saying they would like to thank everyone who came out to support their campaign, and saying about the late MS here, who very sadly died suddenly back in August. Kevin David loved this constituency and its people. It was at the heart of our campaign throughout. This has been tough for the party for a variety of reasons. but we're proud of what our staff and volunteers have achieved over the past 6 weeks and are committed to continuing to fight for Caerphilly and the valleys. I think an unspoken admission here that they are nowhere, probably, in this. Looking at the piles, they're pretty big for reform, they're pretty big for Plaid Cymru too. The projected vote share, according to Survation, of course this is not final, is reform on 42%, Plaid on 38%, Labour on just 12%, Conservatives and Lib Dems absolutely nowhere at all. And if Reform win this, Sia Youssef was talking to you just a little bit before, they're feeling very confident. They said they've had a great reception on the doorstep. This sets a precedent, doesn't it? Would suggest that the polls are correct, that this huge swing that we are seeing to Reform, and we saw it up in Runcorn and Helsby just a few months ago, where traditional Labour voters are turning in large numbers to Reform, and what that means next year for the local elections and the Senate elections here, where it looks likely at the moment that Labour could be pretty much wiped out. The unthinkable could be about to happen. Plaid too, feeling pretty upbeat. They think they might still edge it. The candidate for them, Lindsay Whittle, he has fought every general election for Plaid since 1983 and every Senate election since it was founded. He's never won yet. He's used to being second. Who knows whether he might upset the apple cart, but either way, very good news coming for Reform, or maybe Plaid, but terrible, terrible news for the Labour Party.
Absolutely, Catherine. Well, look, thank you very, very much. Can I just ask, is Nigel Farage there? Is he going to be there? Is he there in anticipation of a sparkling victory?
I haven't seen him, but I think he would probably make an appearance if and when the result goes their way. So we'll just have to wait and see on Nigel Farage.
And quickly, sorry, Catherine, you're there all night, aren't you? We are doing an overnight spectacular here on GB News.
Yes, we are absolutely all night. I will be here. Tom Harwood will be in the studio from 2 o'clock in the morning. We will bring you all the latest as we have it. It looks like a historic night here in Caerphilly.
Well, watch this space. Catherine, thank you very, very much. Great to see you there. In your element at account, Catherine Forster, our Deputy Political Editor. Just to say, an estimated 23 of Wales's 32 parliamentary seats would go to Reform based on a September 2025 YouGov polling model. That reflects a 40-point swing from Labour to Reform. And gosh, you know, I can't think why. I can't think why the Welsh would be sick of Labour. Maybe it's because of the introduction of a default 20-mile-an-hour speed limit in all built-up areas. Maybe it's a shocking decision to permanently ban GBNews in the Welsh Parliament, or the excellent use of taxpayers' money that is buying solar-powered boats for a Peruvian tribe, and gender-equal tree planting in Uganda. Yeah, these are all things the Welsh government is... Or they've turned themselves into a nation of sanctuary. But, Paul, it's a shame they didn't really offer a nation of sanctuary to working-class Welsh people.
They have completely forgotten working-class Welsh people. I mean, they've forgotten Welsh people in general, I feel. And I think they've been overcome, unfortunately, Labour, by trying to be this party of the multiculturalism. And I think it's because it was the latest thing. You watch their behaviour, you watch any of these progressive parties' behaviour towards the latest thing, whether it's the trans ideology or whether it's multiculturalism or DEI or over-migration, they grasp hold of it like a limpet, and they don't let go because they think that's what's going to be popular and do well for them. They think that shows them in good light. Unfortunately, it's always short-lived, which is why something like the Conservative Party has been in government much longer than Labour ever has, because it sits back and looks at the wider picture. And what Reform is offering now that the Conservative Party has had 14 years of quite disastrous government, followed by probably one of the worst year and a bit of Labour's government, pretty disastrous itself, is Reform have got an excellent opportunity because they've got no track record, but they are offering traditional Conservative values to the people of Wales.
It's also been thick as mince from Labour, hasn't it, Chloe? Because, you know, if you look around the valleys, right? I mean, with respect, you know, it's not absolutely chock-a-block full of refugees welcome trans rights brigade people, is it, really?
No.
It's quite kind of straight down the line, salt of the earth, rural Welsh people.
Yeah,
really.
they're bigger NIMBYs in Wales. I went on a trip to Wales when the lockdown restrictions were starting to be lifted and you technically could go on a trip there, but there were signs, placards outside people's homes being like, evil travellers, don't come here and bring us... Not travellers, sorry, I didn't...
English.
Tourists. English tourists, don't come here and bring us your COVID.
Yeah.
So, and the thing with Labour, you know, as you say, mentioning their... you know, multiculturalism, Paul, is that they're just completely not reading the room about the fact that it's failed in this country, and people think that. We saw Keir Starmer today, I think, responding to a point Katie Lamb made, saying that multiculturalism hasn't worked, and he was responding to it as if she'd said something completely atrocious and cancelable, and he had to denounce
He said a bit more than that, Chloe.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean,
I can't remember the exact quote, but it was a bit more than multiculturalism hasn't worked. I mean, you know, people like Ed Davey being pretty critical of what she said as well.
Well, he's also
I just saw the short quote, but I'll correct myself.
Well, no, I don't. I mean, but look,
but still, regardless of the full quote, I don't think Keir Starmer has woken up to the fact that multiculturalism hasn't worked in this country, and that the people across this country think that it's been a failure. I think he still lives in this woke bubble where he thinks the vast majority of people want open borders and want the whole world.
I mean, tonight, we're just on that. Tonight, the party that's challenging reform and may well win is Plaid Cymru, the Welsh Nationalist Party, obviously mostly known to people in Wales, who are significantly... Reen ap Orath, I used to work with him.
Reen ap Orath?
Yes.
Good household name.
Well, he used to present Good Morning Wales, so he is quite high profile in Wales. But Plaid are substantially to the left of Labour on issues like trans rights and sanctuary. Look, Welsh Labour has lost its way. It's been in power for 26 years, and in particular the Welsh Health Service is a mess for a lot of reasons, but they haven't sorted it out, and they're going to pay the price tonight.
But the argument is that Wales is actually basically... what happens if you have a Labour government for a very long period of time? It's just basically disaster. Everyone's driving at 20 miles an hour. They
have lifted that policy.
Well, why did they even spend a load of money doing it? You end up giving money to a Peruvian tribe and you're waiting 2 years for a hip replacement.
Yeah, look, it's also been true of the SNP in Scotland. We've seen very similar results from the SNP in Scotland, who have followed incredibly similar tropes when it's come to the politicking of those devolved countries. Labour in particular have taken, I think, the Welsh people for granted. It's a very, very safe Labour seat up until quite recently, and nothing else has come along because they're almost born never to vote Tory, and all of a sudden something else has come along and offered them something other than the Labour Party that might show that they care about them.
And I mean, I went up to after the last disastrous budget, which it looks like Rachel Reeves is somehow going to be able to top this time around with the story we're talking about later. If you're just joining us, she's floating the idea of raising your income tax. Yeah, that thing they said they'd never do. That thing they're all on record saying they would never do. Looks like they're actually going to do it. But there is something about traditional Labour working class areas. I went up to County Durham, Stanley in County Durham after that budget. They've even got terraces, Marks Avenue, Lenin Terrace, Keir Hardy Way up there. They're voting reform. They're all voting reform. Now in Wales, in this particular part of Wales, in Caerphilly, it looks as though they have gone reform. Not confirmed yet. The latest polling suggests that they have. Why is it? Why are these traditional working-class Labour voters going for Nigel Farage?
Well, I think that the working classes used to think that the Labour Party represented them, but now they see the Labour Party as some sort of metropolitan elite that doesn't even listen to them. They just live in Westminster, they never leave the bubble and actually go and hear what people are genuinely concerned about in this country. And then, as you say, income tax potentially is going to go up in the budget, and even if she doesn't, Rachel Reeves doesn't do that, what we saw in the last budget really was a slap in the face to working people. I mean, we've had huge food inflation, and that massively affects working people. And one of the reasons for that is because of national insurance hikes and minimum wage hikes, meaning that supermarkets like Tesco, for example, have to pay way more to hire all of their workers, and that gets passed on to us as consumers.
A lot of people in Caerphilly will be on the minimum wage, and therefore they would quite welcome the minimum wage rise. Well, look, I mean, I think we need to get this in perspective. Reform are not carrying all before them. Plaid Cymru may well take the seat, and if they don't, they're going to drive them a very close second. And the reason in Wales is because people are fed up with the Welsh Labour government.
Can I ask you about that? Is it just the Welsh Labour government, or have they actually thought Keir Starmer as popular as a wasp at a barbecue, as popular as a fart in a lift, as popular as Novichok? He is the reason, isn't he? He has to go.
I think he's not the whole reason in Wales. He is clearly one of the reasons why Labour is polling sometimes under 20% in the UK-wide polls. And, of course, if that carries on, then there will be a head of steam up against him. I think what the Labour Party wants to do is get through next May's elections in Scotland and Wales. I actually think in Scotland, Labour will slightly outperform the polls. I think in Wales it's going to be a disaster. But, yes, clearly Keir Starmer's not doing a good enough job. We've seen, as we were discussing earlier, on migration, for example, on the small boats crisis, the small boats are still coming in greater numbers. It's got worse. That's not going to deliver if you're a voter in the valleys.
No, absolutely not. Well, absolutely not, because I have lost...
Or in elsewhere in the Red Wall.
But especially in the valleys. I have lost count of the amount of stories that I've done about these not just hotels popping up in Wales. Quickly, I will go to break in a second, but I want to say this. It wasn't just hotels. There was an entire housing development that was promised for local people, and it was going to have all sorts attached to it. The local area, they needed things like a Lidl and places like that to go and shop, because the locals didn't have that. They were going to build it. They were going to renovate a local school there, a secondary school, turn it into housing. Turns out they did that, and they did it just for asylum seekers in the end. I'm sorry, but if you do that anywhere, you deserve to get a kicking in the polls, and I think that's what's happening. But talking about another thing that will give them an absolute kicking, it's just Rachel Reeves, and it's her plans for the economy. Apparently it's on the front of 2 national newspapers. She is seriously considering raising income tax. If only we had a series of clips of her saying that she would do the opposite of that. Stay tuned.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Nana Acquia. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm Michael Portillo. This is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
I think solo travel can be really enriching. I think it helps build so many different skills. You have to problem solve, navigate different social interactions. It can be great for building confidence, mental health, resilience, and the interactions you have with people tend to be richer when you're traveling on your own. So I'm all for it. I think it can really help reset the mind and give you that confidence boost for sure.
70% of solo travellers are women. Why do you think that is?
I think in general, post-pandemic, we have seen people prioritising travel. I think because it was taken away from us and restricted for quite a long time, we've seen this general overall trend that people are prioritising travel, spending more on travel. And I think women in particular, in general, we do tend to get pulled in so many different directions. If you're a working mother and a partner, our lives are so hectic, and solo travel, I guess for women, just gives them a chance to have a little bit of a breather, have a little bit of an escape, recharge, and hopefully come back after their trip, you know, in a healthier, more refreshed mindset.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Late Edition. Yeah, we're going to be keeping you right up to date on that bombshell by-election over there in Wales, but something that I think might move the dial more nationally is it is on the front of two national newspapers. The Guardian's got it, and the Times are carrying it as well. Reeves discussing an increase to income tax in the November budget. OK, let's just remind ourselves of some of the things they've said.
We've been really clear in our manifesto about the taxes that we won't increase, and we're not going to increase the taxes that working people pay, their income tax, their national insurance and their VAT.
Oh, but, you know, she's only the Chancellor. What does she know? I mean, it's not like the Prime Minister said it.
We will not raise tax on working people. No tax rises for income tax.
Oh, that's a doozy, isn't it? So a bit more detail on this then. Rachel Reeves considering raising income tax. The Chancellor is in active discussions over breaking one of her party's main manifesto pledges. Some advisers in the Treasury believe that putting up income tax now may be the only way to make sure she raises enough money to avoid further tax increases. She's understood to be nervous about it politically. Well, good, you should be blooming well nervous. The Treasury is also torn over which rates it could raise. One source said that Reeves was considering adding 1p to the basic rate, which they think would generate £8 billion. Go on, Paul.
Look, this is stupid. Like, actually stupid. Possibly thick. I really don't know how to explain it any other way.
You hold back, Paul. You hold back.
I'm really sorry, Matthew, because, you know, I mean, I'm sure defend this in a moment, but I'm not. This isn't even about breaking manifesto pledges, because manifestos are made in a point in time and things do change. I think you can put political persuasions to one side and analyse this neutrally. However, to look at the situation we're in now and think the best way out of it is to tax people, particularly on their income, is utter lunacy. We all know that you cannot tax yourself to growth. Everybody knows that. As soon as you get to grips with that, you start looking at a number of other things that you can do. There are other things open to Labour. They're not easy. They are not easy at all. I'm not saying that any of the job that Starmer and Reeves need to do is easy, but they have to think of another way.
So there's a few options flying about here in terms of income tax. So 1p on the basic rate, they think it would raise more than £8 billion. Bit more detail, with the Chancellor having promised to make sure that those with the broadest shoulders face the highest burden. Others believe she's more likely to raise the higher or additional rates. Those rates, which kick in at earnings of roughly, you ready for this, £50,000, so you're a higher rate taxpayer at 50 grand. It's ridiculous. That's some nurses. That's some police officers. That's whoever else. 50,000 teachers. And then obviously £125,000 a year is the next big one there. They will bring in much smaller sums of about £2 billion and 230 million respectively. Chloe, your views on that?
I mean, it baffles me that there are people that have to go to work every single day knowing that essentially half of all the money that they make is going to HMRC. You're working 6 months a year for HMRC. If you're taxed at 40 or 45%, but you take into account everything else, like the VAT you pay with everything that you buy with the money that you have left. So many people, they're paying more than 50% in tax. How on earth is that going to encourage entrepreneurship and hard work in this country? It's not. And I mean, you're right, Paul. We cannot tax our way to growth. And what Labour will do is they would, and I'm sure Matthew will do this in a moment, is they'll try and cherry-pick the statistics and say, oh, we had the fastest growth in the G7 in the first quarter, which was for various reasons, like people exporting right before the Trump tariffs came in and whatnot, and also the G7's not doing that great. Our growth figures are really, really low. We need to get to a point where we've got 2.5% growth a year. The US, they're getting over 2% a year, no problem. But here in Europe, we are struggling to get the economy to move at all. So we're just in this horrible fiscal doom loop where we put up taxes, then the growth forecasts get downgraded, so the tax receipts expected goes down, and then we need to put up the taxes even more, and it's going to happen again and again, year after year after year. I mean, Rachel Reeves, she told us when she did 40 billion quid in tax hikes at the last budget that this was a one-time budget. It's just going to be a one-off, and then we'll fix the foundations, as they said, and then it will all be hunky-dory. We won't take any of your money, but as we all expected, we're just stuck in this horrible
This
loop.
would be, in a competitive field, Matthew, the biggest lie yet, wouldn't it?
I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I think let's just be absolutely clear. There is no indication that this is a decision that's been taken. Reeves quotes discussing an increase to income tax in the November budget. I'm sure they are discussing it. They'll be discussing a whole range of things. They'll discuss it and they'll reject it. They will not increase the rates of either the basic or the high rate of income tax, and they will, you know, and I think they will stick to that pledge. They will, I think, raise other taxes. We've seen a discussion over the last few days about taxing rich lawyers more, who have a loophole through which they can save lots of tax, etc.
The wider point here is that now, because we're in such a desperate economic situation, they are desperately scrambling around, just clutching at thin air, wondering if they can tax that. And I'm sorry, but I don't want to live in that country. I don't. Where it's any aspiration or wealth, or you've done well for yourself through your own hard work, we're going to come for that. If you want to send your kid to private school, we're going to make that 20% more expensive as well. You know, everything. You look at it, they're taxing it. You look at it. There was talk of them slapping an extra 20% on cab fares. They're just looking at things and thinking, right, we could do, because we're knackered.
Yes, and there is going to be a 4% increase on benefits in 2026. A 4% increase on benefits. I'm not totally against a welfare state. I was a Labour voter for many of my younger years. I was a Tony Blair fan. All these things could get me killed. But I'm willing to say it live on national TV. But Tony Blair had a cabinet full of incredibly experienced professional people. Even Gordon Brown could be considered much higher grade than anything that sits within this cabinet now. And there's a huge difference between what's happening now, obviously, and what's happened then. Obviously, Tony Blair inherited probably the biggest growth spurt that the country had seen since World War II, and they did fairly well with it for about a year, and then it just tanked because they bankrolled the whole future on immigration, and then sold us the tale of multiculturalism to back up the immigration because they needed to prop up an economy on cheap labour. The whole thing started in about 1998, 1999, and it's falling apart in 2025, 2026. And the irony is it's going to fall apart under a Labour government.
Yeah, I mean, this is... I know, look, I'm certainly not calling for anything or anything like this, but, I mean, I was having discussions with people about this over the weekend, and people are discussing about this. This is a recipe for more civil unrest. Taxing people to within an inch of their lives, and people see that money going on things like 88 million quid we've given to Pakistan so they can give condoms to people living rurally. Why the heck is that my problem? It's not my problem. Why do I...
Well, the international aid budget's been slashed, Patrick.
Well, so why have we still got 88 million...
I mean, I suspect that's a legacy
condoms.
A legacy project that is coming to... I mean, so literally, the international aid budget will halve because the 0.3%, it was 0.5%, 0.3% of that...
Of it?
Is going, because we're going to spend 0.2% of our wealth.
When someone on 50 grand a year is going to have their...
It's about getting the balance right. Even we remain one of the richest countries in the world, and that's right. It's right that we have money available so that we can do things like disaster relief. It is literally halving the international aid budget with the 0.3% of national wealth going to defence.
But the thing is, Matthew, we are...
Well, that is to look after our own country.
Regardless of that, we are still spending a load of money on giving migrants who come here illegally a lovely experience in hotels here, don't have to go to work, nice buffet 3 times a day, trips out, all these cards with 50 quid a week.
Of course, it's a mess.
And even if that is a small amount of our total budget, when taxpayers in this country see more money coming out of their bill whilst they see people have come across in
if we want to
having a
I agree.
Experience, they are going to be infuriated.
I agree.
Also, they keep paying more and getting less. People might be OK with tax rises if they can actually
I think you're right, and that's
the
why you've seen
NHS
Wes
getting better.
today challenging the doctors' strike and saying to the doctors, come off it, we've given you more money, you need to come and you need to do the work. Because what I'm going to say is, if we are as a country going to seriously tackle public spending, we are going to have to tackle the welfare bill. And what happened? The party leading in the polls, the party who think they're going to celebrate in Caerphilly tonight, are the party who refused to do any welfare reform. They refused. They were against the benefit cuts and wanted to stop the two-child benefit cap straight away. It's spend for reform.
Talk of the devil. Coming up, we've got a bit of this.
Our aim is very simple. Our aim is to win. Our aim is to win a majority. And our aim as a party is to govern in Wales.
Well. The first big test of that is happening right now. The counts are underway and the results will be back with us in potentially even, I don't know, a few hours' time now, I suppose, would be the earliest. It's the big by-election in Wales. And Reform are, at the moment, it looks as though they have pipped it. Labour certainly appears to be in a distant third. I'm going to be giving you the latest from Ben Leo, who's with us in Washington, D.C. But when we come back as well, doctor strikes, they're out again. They're going out on the 14th of November. Look, I don't know when you were planning on booking in your heart attack or your brain hemorrhage or anything like that, but if you've got it penciled in for the 14th of November, then good luck. Stay tuned.
I wouldn't be...
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Over the coming days, there will be some spells of rain at times, likely remaining quite windy, and it's those brisk northerly winds that are going to make things feel cold, particularly as we head towards the weekend. For this evening, though, low pressure dominating, situated to the northwest and also the southeast, maintaining that brisk northerly wind, so it is going to continue to feel chilly as we head through this evening and overnight. There will be some showers at times, particularly across eastern and western coasts. These could be heavy, perhaps with some hail and thunder, but many inland areas should remain mostly dry. Plenty of clear skies across central and southern England, so feeling chilly here, but particularly where we catch that brisk wind, it is going to be feeling cold as we progress through into Friday. Now, it's going to be a much brighter start across central and southeastern England as we head through tomorrow. Still quite cloudy across the west, plenty of showers moving through here. Also quite cloudy across Northern Ireland, northwest England. Some of these showers could continue to be heavy with some hail and thunder, and a decent amount of cloud across Scotland too. Some showers, particularly across the northeast of Scotland. This will merge into quite persistent areas of rain through the course of Friday. So quite a wet end to the week across eastern areas of Scotland, but elsewhere we'll see a mix of showers. Also some brighter spells. The main showers will push into parts of the west, so the best of the brightness is likely going to be across parts of the south and southeast. Still fairly blustery though, and feeling chilly in those winds. Highs reaching around 12 to 13 degrees Celsius, but even across Scotland we'll see temperatures around 10 degrees Celsius, but in that wind it is going to feel much chillier. And it's a similar theme as we head through into Saturday. Quite chilly in the wind. There will be some showers, particularly around coasts, particularly across parts of northern Scotland. These too could be heavy at times, but otherwise plenty of bright sunny spells, and you should be able to enjoy it if you wrap up warm, and this will continue through Sunday and also into Monday. That's everything from me. Bye-bye.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
All right, welcome back to the latest edition. Shortly, doctor strikes. Yes, it's happening again, even though I've got deja vu. And Prince Andrew thinks that he's going to be kicked out of Royal Lodge so that King Charles can give it to the Queen. But before all of that, and before we take you back to Wales for that bombshell by-election, we're off to Washington now. We're all over the place tonight. Ben Leo's with us. Ben, what's coming up on your show this evening, mate?
Patrick, hello mate. Yes, we are going to be going live to Tom Harwood and his panel in London, keeping tabs on that by-election in Wales all through the night from midnight until 6 in the morning. Meanwhile, though, a sprinkle of US news as well. I'll bring you a funny one. President Trump and the administration's been really criticised the last couple of weeks and months for this big reconstruction of the White House. He's spending $200 million of pretty much his own money and donation money building a massive ballroom. Anyway, in response to that trolling, the White House today uploaded a section on their website called the Major Events Timeline. I think we can take a quick look. With the biggest events that have happened at the White House over the recent decades, including in 1998, Bill Clinton's scandal with Monica Lewinsky. In 2012, President Obama hosts members of the Muslim Brotherhood. And on your screen there, 2023, cocaine discovered. During Biden's administration, his son Hunter's laptop is leaked to the public. Cocaine was discovered in the West Wing by the Secret Service agents. And in 2024, on what was meant to be Easter Sunday, the Biden-Harris administration hosts transsexuals at the White House and goes on to establish the Transgender Day of Visibility. I thought it was very, very funny, and it just goes to show how, actually, I love this administration. Forget politics. They are trolling masterclasses. They have been absolutely ripping the left and, yeah, taking the mickey on all fronts. And this is just the latest example of the White House to the Trump administration just looking at the left, looking at their critics and pretty much putting a middle finger up at them. So, yeah, if you want to check out some of the best scandalous events of the White House history, you can now go on the government website and read all about Obama, the Muslim Brotherhood, Monica Lewinsky, Bill Clinton and Hunter Biden's cocaine shenanigans.
Fantastic. Of course, there are probably a couple of jokes in there about what we could do about this Labour Party, but you're not allowed to make those jokes, are you? Because you tend to get sued for that kind of thing. But, Ben, thank you very much. I'll be glued to it. Ben Leo there, stateside for us. OK, from Washington, back to me here in London, over to Wales, because Catherine Forster, our deputy political editor, I believe, is there for us in Wales. Now, at the by-election in Caerphilly. Yes, she is. There you go. Right, what's the mood like? Are Reform still confident of Plaid pipped it?
Well, I think there's two parties pretty happy at the moment. They are Reform and Plaid. Reform are expected to win, probably, although looking at the piles, that's by no means a given. Now, the voting projection that we had from Survation put Reform at 42, Plaid on 38, Labour down at 12. I think the Conservatives just on about 4. So obviously, Labour and the Conservatives are very gloomy indeed, and we're looking at history being made here tonight because Caerphilly has been Labour for 100 years. They've had a Labour MP in Parliament, and since the Senedd was founded in 1999, always a Labour MS. Now, this by-election has come about the very sad death of the local MS unexpectedly in August at the age of just 47. And now it looks like Labour, well, they are pretty much admitting defeat already. They've still said that they will continue to work hard for people here, but the mood with Labour very downbeat indeed. We will see what happens. The counters behind me fueled on Diet Coke and Haribo. We expect the result in 2 to 3 hours, probably. At midnight, I will bring you the Plaid Cymru candidate. He's been trying to win this seat for decades and for 25 years in the Welsh Parliament. He's quite a character. Stay tuned for that.
Oh, you've got to love a trier. Thank you very, very much. Catherine is going to be locked in all night for the results of a seismic by-election there in Caerphilly. How long will it be before the Labour MPs start to say, Keir Starmer, you are useless, the public hate you and you need to go? But anyway, right, let's go to the front page of The Independent. West Streeting blast the British Medical Association. Doctors are striking again. Now, Paul, I know you had a heart attack booked in for the 14th of November.
I did.
Does it affect you?
It does affect me greatly, actually.
Yeah.
I'm now going to have to make it the 16th because I think I'm going to have to give them a day just to get going again.
They're still on strike then, mate.
Oh, they're still on strike then?
5-day strike, I think.
5 to the 21st. My birthday's on the 26th of November, so...
Get out of the way.
Don't be having a big one.
Yeah, well, I'll be dead. But I won't. No, I won't be dead.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not actually going to have a heart attack. Look, here's the thing, Matthew. I thought this was all going to be stopped under Labour. This should not be a thing under Labour. We were promised this wouldn't be a thing under Labour. Wes Streeting is the best person in that cabinet. How is he not able to stop it? Will he ever be able to stop it? What have they got over the Labour cabinet? Why do they keep doing this? Why are they able to strike? I support all strikes, but I don't support strikes that can lead to the deaths of people. So I'm sorry, this is disgusting.
Well, already after a 29% pay rise. But anyway, well, Matthew, any...
Well, I mean, you're right. I think the strike is wrong. I think that the doctors have been given the opportunity to fix some of the damage that was done to their pay. They obviously deserve a decent salary, but therefore it's rights and responsibilities, as Tony Blair used to put it. And they've been given the right. They've been given the boost of the extra salary. They need to show responsibility by not going on strike.
There is a solution to this, though, I think, because we cap the number of doctors who are allowed to graduate and practice every single year, and that's somewhere in the region of 10 or 11,000, while simultaneously importing around 20,000 every single year. So why don't we just raise the cap, and anyone who wants to...
I think Labour has increased the cap a little bit, but it's obviously doesn't...
But, I mean, that would be the
fully
ultimate
match
kick
it.
in the teeth for this lot of bloody-minded activists, as the BMA is otherwise known.
I mean, I think they should be banned from striking. It's a crucial service. As you say, if you're having a heart attack, it would be nice to know that there are some doctors there to take care of you if that happens. And the reality is that every time these strikes are held, people are losing their lives because so many appointments get cancelled. Inevitably, whenever that happens, people with cancer, for example, who aren't being seen quick enough will lose their lives. And I think that as a doctor who takes the Hippocratic oath, you shouldn't be able to do that. And Wes Streeting was so proud of the fact that he stopped the strikes and they created 1 million extra NHS appointments by stopping these strikes, and they'd sorted it out and we're all on track to have better healthcare. And sure enough, you know what it's like with these people. You give them an inch and they take a mile. You offer them a bit of money and they get more. And I just think it is so selfish, given, yes, I know they think that they don't have their pay in line with what it was back in 2008 or whenever, but you've got the biggest pay rise in all the public sector. There are people across this country who are struggling to put
and the GPs are about to go on strike because Wes is trying to introduce an online booking system.
An online booking system is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous what's going on there.
And we had these through last week. We saw these doctors up in the northeast saying that the pharmacy first, where people can go to the pharmacy for minor ailments, they should be not sending people there. They should be besieging A&E departments. That's not responsible behaviour. It's the worst sort of 70s trade unionism.
This pay restoration thing is an absolute load of bull, because a lot of these people, they were not even at university. Some of them were just like kind of starting out school when doctors were paid what they want to be paid now. So they've had their entire adult lives, their entire junior lives, voluntarily going into a profession, knowing what the pay scale is, and then complaining about, we're not paid the same as we were 30 years ago. Anyway, sorry, we digress. I'm going to have to go to a break now, but when I come back, we've got loads more, including Prince Andrew. I've got a feeling that tomorrow, at some point, there might be some big news about Prince Andrew. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
The weather's looking quite mixed across southern parts of Europe as we go through tomorrow. Yes, there will be some dry, sunny and rather warm weather, but also heavy rain in places too. A band of rain pushing across parts of Portugal and into central Spain. Meanwhile, across France, feeding into Italy and also further east, there's some heavy thundery rain, and this could build up in terms of rainfall totals, enough to cause some impacts in a few places. Looking a bit drier and brighter as we head into next week, though.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome back. A reminder for you that Tom Harwood will be in this studio from 2 a.m. until 6 a.m. for the results of that Caerphilly by-election in Wales. But Labour are going to be booted out there. It looks as though Prince Andrew is going to be booted out of Royal Lodge. Prince Andrew quotes on the front of the Daily Telegraph, thinks the King wants him out of Royal Lodge so he can give it to the Queen. Look, I'm just going to say this now. Watch this space, because I think there's going to be some big news about Prince Andrew early tomorrow morning. He didn't get that from me. Paul, about time. Good riddance.
To Andrew?
Yeah.
At a Frogmore? Well, not at a Frogmore. That's probably where he should be. Yes, probably. I mean, it's an extreme privilege to have that home. It's an extreme privilege to be part of the royal family. And I think if you're going to bring them into disrepute on an almost hourly basis, then perhaps, you know, you might have to give up some of your privileges. I am a huge royalist. I've always been a royalist. I don't suppose it comes as a surprise to anybody that I am. But Andrew, as the Queen's favourite son, as he often was, has let himself down big time here. This is to the point that's unforgivable.
I hope Charles drives in there tomorrow morning with Camilla and she starts measuring up for different curtains in front of Andrew. And they make the corgis watch.
Well, I don't know how exactly they're going to kick him out because he's got this 75-year lease.
Send the lads round.
Initially, we thought, oh, maybe he won't be able to pay the rent, but then we found out it's only one peppercorn a year. Maybe if they demand it. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. But if he fails to keep up the place in good condition, they can turf him out for that, I believe.
Right.
But I believe
he's going to claim renters' rights under Angela Rayner's renters' rights bill.
Exactly.
It's very hard to get anybody out now.
Honestly.
Do what my nan would want to do. Read Jessie, read in her politics. She wanted to turn Buckingham Palace into council houses, which is definitely turn
there you go. Right, now, finally.
Turn it into a migrant hotel.
We're going to India, yes, because there's been a big blunder. The helicopter carrying President Draupadi Murmu, big name, got stuck in wet cement.
Fire Force chairman.
So they didn't have a helipad there. They thought, it's all right, lads, we'll lay a helipad the night before he gets here. So they laid it, the cement hadn't dried, the helicopter landed, and it got stuck. You know what we've decided to do recently? Is because we haven't got enough pilot instructors in the Royal Air Force anymore, we're bringing over Indian air instructors, which fills you with confidence, doesn't it, when you look at that?
Well, to be fair, it was the engineer lads rather than the lads flying. But
would have thought someone might have checked there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, is it? It's
not great.
Well, I'm not too worried about the prospect of being invaded by India after seeing that.
I think there'll be. I think the people in Pakistan will be taking unnecessary joy tonight.
There are a billion of them. Statistically, there will be people out there that can do that. At least average.
Booming economy.
Hopefully we've already given them a visa overhead to do a similar job. Right, I'm going to whiz you through just one last time Friday's newspaper front pages. The Metro quittable. It's a Strictly whoever those two people are have left. The Daily Telegraph stopped the show trials for veterans. The Guardian, Reeves discussing an increase to income tax in November budget, so that's it. The budget's going. Your income tax is probably going up. The Independent, West Streeting blasts the BMA. Doctor strike is a slap in the face for the NHS. The Daily Express, we are strictly done dancing. Good. Right. The Daily Mail, after elderly ex-para hounded over bloody Sunday killings more than 50 years ago, is cleared of all charges. Campaigners demand that we now end the witch hunt. The Times, the grooming gang inquiry might be off until next year due to the search for a new leader. The Sun, Tess and Claude's secret pact to quit. They vowed to go a year ago, but they've left the BBC blindsided after 12 years. Well, thank you very much to my wonderful panel.
Thank you.
Can I just remind you again, we're going to be going all the way through overnight and into the morning on the results of this bombshell by-election in Wales. And Caerphilly have reformed done the unthinkable, stolen a Labour seat in a Welsh Labour heartland. What a sign of things to come, eh? But now it's The Late Show Live, hosted by the one and only Ben Lee.
Yes, get your coffees, get your Red Bulls, maybe something stronger. We will be on the by-election in Wales all night, midnight till the early hours of the morning, 6, 7 a.m. Tom Harwood's live in London with a esteemed panel, and I've got a sprinkle of US news as well, including a big interview with Donald Trump's counter-terror chief, Sebastian Gorka. Just how have they eliminated illegal migration, and why can't we do the same thing? Oh, and also the NBA, massive scandal to do with betting, the FBI raiding doors all morning. See you in a sec.
There's 2 weeks remaining in our latest, greatest giveaway. You could be in the driving seat of this Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxurious home from home comes with all the mod cons. Plus, you can use it with your current driving licence. We'll also boost your bank account with a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. It only takes one entry to become a winner. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question.